Hi, my beautiful brothers and sisters. This is Mary Hernandez with Genesis Kingdom, Part 2. It knocked me out, some computer glitch or something computer. It kind of knocked me off of video too. But in a way, I'm glad it did. Because as I was saying, it actually also gave me a revelation. I heard it before, and of course the topic is our Father's lamentation, our Father Jehovah's lamentations. Lamentations of our Father Jehovah. We always, I had heard it before that they say, hey, 4 black kings are coming on horses, 1 white, black, red, and I forgot what the other one was about, right? I know I had read before that it's not of God, but I hadn't put it together, and I heard one of the YouTubes say it on hers, and it says, hey, get ready because they're coming. And they're thinking that is of God. And this just verified it that it isn't. And I'm going to read this over again so you could understand it better the way I did the second time that I went back. Actually, the 4th time. Because I went back to read it so I could read it to you and then reading it to you and now this time. It says, Isaiah 31:1. Woe to them that go down to Egypt for help and stay on horses, the trust in the chariots, because they are many that are in horsemen, because they are very strong, and they look not unto the Holy One of Israel, neither seek the Lord. So they were going to Egypt, they were going to the horsemen, they were going to the chariots, but no one was looking to God. You were going to our enemy for help. It says, yet he also is wise, and he will bring evil. Like he's like, all right, come to me. He said he is also wise, and he will bring evil, and they will not call back his words, and he will arise against the house of the evildoers, God will, against the help of them that work the iniquity. So he could lie to you and say, I could give you the victory, I could say whatever. God is saying, yeah, go ahead. He says, and it says, will arise against the house of the evildoers, and against them that help them to work the iniquity. He's gathering people to go against God's anointed. And God is saying, you think the wrath is not going to come upon you. It is going to come upon you because you're considered an evildoer. You're teaming up with the enemy against your own brothers, against your own sisters, against believers. You're starting to be that heir. Instead of the spirit of the truth, you're being that heir. The truth of the spirit of the truth and the spirit of the heir. And it says, but now the Egyptians are men. It says, now the Egyptians are men and not of God. And their horses flesh. The horses are flesh and not the spirit. But when the Lord shall stretch out his hand, both, and he that helpeth shall fall, and he that is in the whole pen shall fall down, and they shall all fall together. 4. So hath the Lord spoken unto me, like a lion, a young lion roaring on the prey. The multitude of shepherds call forth against him, that he will not be afraid of the voice, no, abides himself in the house of the noise. It says of them. So they shall, the Lord of the hosts, come down and fight for Mount Zion and in the hill thereof. Now it says, turn ye, it says, unto him, for whom the children of Israel have deeply revolted. It says, for in that day every man shall cast away their idols, silver and his idols of gold, which your own hands have made unto you, that are for sin, and that you shall the Assyrians fall by the sword, not of mighty man, but the sword of not of mean, but of man, shall devour him, but he shall flee from the sword as a young man shall be discomfited. And then it says, and he shall pass over the stronghold for fear, and his prince shall be afraid of the Isai, saith the Lord, who is the fire that is in Zion, and his furnace in Jerusalem. Now that was 31 that I read to you, okay? And this is, let me just a quick second. And I had heard, and it's just ironic and beautiful how my Father works. And one of the ladies, she's a very beautiful lady. I have seen her maybe 4 times, and she was talking about how the children, we need to preach the truth to God's children right now. And this is just ironic that I came across this as I read in the Bible verse. because she's saying they're being taught that it's okay to sin. It's okay to go against your children, and there's nothing's going to happen to you. It says they're being lied to. They're being manipulated. And it's true. There wouldn't be a reason why there is a Bible verse in here if it wasn't so. You know, so I wanted to repeat that Bible verse to you. So now, you know, she said, no, it is important, you know. Hold on, give me a minute. You know, they have so many amazing, beautiful Bible verse that my father has as he's speaking his lamentation to the children, you know. And it's just sad, you know, as he's pleading through all this, as he's speaking to them and telling them, like, what are you doing, you know? Hold on. So I read 31 to you right now. It says, woe to you that go down to Egypt for help. Stay on horses and trust the chariots, because there are many, and the horsemen, because they are very strong. They look not unto the Holy One of Israel that seek the Lord. I wanted to read over that Bible verse, and maybe that's something that you could ponder, especially for those that are people. A lot of people try to figure out, what does that mean? And it says, woe to them that go to Egypt for help. It says, hold on, I'm sorry. It keeps changing me out of mine. Give me just a quick minute. It says, behold, on Isaiah 32, it says, behold, a king shall reign in righteousness, the prince shall rule in judgment, and a man shall be hiding place from the wind that covereth the tempest of the rivers of water, in dry places, in the dry of shadow of the Greek of rock, a weary land. In the eyes of them that see, that they shall not deem the years, but them that hear shall be hearkened. The heart also of the rash shall also understand knowledge, and the tongue of the stammers shall be ready to speak plainly. The vile person shall be more than called liberal, but nor shall they be a born fool. But the vile person that speaks valiantly of his heart to work iniquity, to practice hypocrisy, and utter the error against the Lord, to make an empty for the soul of hungry, that he will cause them to drink thirsty to fall. You know, and this is just the beginning of 32, 1 through 6. You know, as I'm doing a recap of 32, 31, 32, I'm going into 33 now. And pointing out the pointers of the ones that was speaking to me. And when I had heard, I wish I would have got her name. But if I get it again, if I see her, I would grab her name as well, and I would put it on there. That those are also like coaches, they're prophets, they're prophetess, people. God uses people in different ways to communicate with his children. And, you know, when I heard her say that, you know, of course, I always get on here as God gives me revelation, or as the Holy Spirit guides me. But when you see there and you get to read the Bible, then you wonder, you know, that I hear God's lamentation through all this. So it also brought me onto, I'm going to go back to Isaiah 34. Come near, you nations, to hear, and hearken, you people. Let the earth to hear. All that there is, that the world and all things that come for it. For the righteousness of the Lord is upon the nations, the fury upon their armies, that he had utterly destroyed them, that he had delivered them to the slaughter. The slain also shall cast out their own stink, and they shall come up with their carcasses, and the mountains shall be melted with their blood, and all the host of heaven shall dissolve, and the heavens of the roll together with the scroll of the host shall be falling down, the leaf falling off, and the wine are falling of the figs and the fig tree. My sword shall bathe in heaven. Behold, they shall come down into Adamia upon the people. My curse is to the judgment. The sword of the Lord is filled with blood. It says the sword of the Lord is filled with the blood. It's made of fat with fatness, and with the blood of the lambs and goats, the fat of the kidneys of the rams, and the Lord hath sacrificed Bozrah, and the great slaughter of the land of Edomah. And the unicorns shall come down with them, and the bullocks and the bulls of their land are soaked with blood. The dust made fatness, the day of the Lord's vengeance. It says in the year of recompense for the controversy of Zion. Let that sink in, and that is 34, 1 through 8. I'm going to continue reading 34, but just remember 1 through 8. And it talks about, as you go and you read that, it's the lamentation from God, and he's pleading to you, saying, do not sit there, stand with the mockers. Do not sit there with the evildoers and attack your own brothers and sisters, because the wrath of God is coming upon them. But do not sit there and be deceived by the enemy. You got to remember, he's a liar. The devil is a liar. He comes to kill, steal, and destroy. Come and kill, steal, and destroy. He knows he has to ask the Father. You read in Job, he has to ask the Father, can I approach him? So he can. He knows already he has to ask. So he tries, the deceiver that he is, the Lord of the Flies. He tries to go, and he's like, all right, well, you got jealous people that are going against God's children. I might as well get a 2 for here, right? So what does he do? He uses you, and don't worry, you're God's children. Nothing's going to happen to you. No, it is. This is his lamentation to you, in telling you, don't think that he's not going to spare you. It is all in here. You read from 29 to 34, but if you read all of Isaiah, read from even Genesis all the way to Revelation, his lamentation to his children, day one, go in there, grab my children. No matter what happened, another prophet, another prophetess, another coach. You sit there and you see time and time again. But now we're in Revelation time. And you could tell when you ask for signs and wonder, look around. Let that sink in. The devil's a liar. Don't think because you're God's child that there's not going to be a wrath upon you. Yeah, there is. There's a reason why the first generation perished. There's the second. And then you go on. I think we're in the generation 14. It says, the streams thereof shall be turned into pitch. The dust thereof into the brimstone. The land thereof shall become burning pitch, that it shall be the quench of the night in that day. The smoke thereof shall go up forever. From generation to generation shall lie in waste. None shall pass through it forever and ever, like it's done. But the comrade of the veteran shall possess it in the owl, and also the raven shall dwell in it, that he will stretch out upon the line of confusion the stones of the emptiness. So the enemy thinks he has it. All he is a pawn to God. God already knows. And he knows you too. And that's why he says, don't think that the wrath is not going to come upon you, because it is. And it says, and the thorns shall come up in the palaces, the nettles and the brambles, the fortress thereof, and it shall be the habitation of the dragons and the court for the owls. The wild beasts of the desert shall also meet the wild beasts in the island of the Setar, and they cry in the fellow screech owl, and they shall rest there and find herself in a place for rest, that they shall be a great owl that make her nest, a lay of hatch, and gather it under her shadow. And she that is the vulture shall also gather everyone in her mate. See that you go out to the book of the Lord and read. No one of this shall fail, none. They went in, they shall want her mate for her mouth had condemned, and the Spirit had gathered them. He had cast out lots of them, and the hand divided unto them, that they shall possess it forever and ever. Generations to generations there are within. You know, it says, woe to the spoilers of those that has not spoiled, that dealeth treacherously, that they deal not treacherously, but when those shall cease to spoil, those shall be spoiled, and those shall make an end and deal treacherously, that they will deal treacherously with thee. O Lord, be gracious unto us, that we have waited on thee, and the arm of the morning of the salvation, but also of the time of trouble. The noise of turmoil, and those that fled, lifting up the nations that they scattered. Your spoil shall gather like the gathering of the caterpillar, the running of the fro of the locust, and he ran upon them. The Lord exalted, and he dwelt on the high. Had he filled Zion judgment and the righteousness, the wisdom, knowledge, it shall be stability. In thy times the strength and salvation, and the fear of the Lord, it is his treasures. Behold, the valiant ones shall cry without the ambassador. A peace shall be with bitterly. The highways laid to waste. The wayfaring man sees that he had broken the covenant, and he had despised the cities and regarded no man. The earth mourned and languages. Lebanon is ashamed and howled down. Sharon is like the wilderness of Bashan. It says, Carmel shake off their fruits. Now I will arise, said the Lord. Now will I exalt thee. Now I will lift myself up, and I shall conceive the shaft. That you shall bring the stubble and the breath, as a fire shall devour you. The people shall be as the burning lame and the burns cut, and they shall be the burn in the fire. Hear ye are far off, that I have done, and you that hear acknowledge my might. The sinners in Zion were afraid, fearless, that they had surprised with the hypocrites. Who among us shall dwell with the devouring fire? Who among shall dwell with the everlasting burnings? He that walketh righteously and speak uprightly, he will despise and gain of the oppressions. They shake off his hands from holding off bribes, stop his ears and hearing the blood, that shatter the eyes for seeing evil. He that shall dwell in the high place of a defense, the mutations of the rocks bread. He's given his water, and they shall be sure. Thine eyes shall see the King of the beauty, and behold, the land was very far off. Thine heart shall meditate terrors. The scraby they receiveth, and they counted the towers, that they shall see the fears of people. People are deeper in speech that cannot not perceive, stammering tongue that they cannot understand. Look upon Zion, the city of the Solomonites. Thine eyes shall see Jerusalem. It says a quiet habitation, a tabernacle that should be taken down, but not one that states that they shall ever be moved, but neither shall any of the cords thereof be broken. The glorious Lord will be unto the place, the road of the rivers and streams, which shall go in galley and oars, but neither shall Galilean in the galley of the oars, but neither shall the Galilean ships pass through thereby. But the Lord our judge, the Lord is our lawgiver. The Lord is our king, and he will save us. The tacklings of the loose, that they will not come. Strain the mast that was not spread. But the sail of the prey is great. Spoil divided in the lame, and they take prey. Inhabitants they shall not say, that I am sick thereof, and they dwell, but they shall be forgiven of their iniquity. And it says, behold, the king shall reign in righteousness, prince shall rule judgment. A man shall be a hiding place. The wind, it says, is a covered, and the tempest of the river is the water that dry place. The shadow of the great rock, the weary land, the eyes of them that shall not deem, the ears of them that hear they should hearken. The heart of also the rash shall understand knowledge. The tongue of the stammers shall be ready and speak plainly. The vile person shall be no more called liberal, but neither shall they said bountifully, but the person that shall speak violently, it says violently, and his heart to work iniquity and patronize hypocrisy. They utter errors against the Lord, to make empty of the souls, the hungry that he will cause them to drink, for a thirsty fail. The instruments also are sure from evil. His devices wicked. Devices are destroyed. The poor are lying words, and even the needy speaketh right. but the liberal devises liberal things, and the liberal of the things that they shall stand. Rise up, ye women that are at ease. Hear my voice, the careless daughters. Give ear unto my speech. Do you see how he's speaking to the daughters and saying, wake up, know who you are. Stop putting your trust in a man. If you're putting your trust in a man and in a prince, then you don't need to be a servant of mine, because they're keeping you from your inheritance. They were never chosen. It was a woman's covet from the very beginning. And that is what he's doing, is washing you and cleansing you by the word of the Bible, putting the light back in you, and is telling you, do not be deceived. Do not stand with the markers. Do not stand with the horses and the chariots. That's not of me, God is saying. I'm not there. You're not looking for me. You're going to the one that wants you not to walk into your purpose, that wants you not to walk into your inheritance, into the lamb flowing with milk and honey, because he's the God of the living, not the God of the dead. It's like, who are you going to for help? It's not me. I send you people to go in there, and you mock them. You attack them. You stand with the evildoers. What are you doing? You think the wrath is not going to come upon you? He's telling you, daughters, wake up. Wake up. And all there is his lamentation to his daughters. And he moves people out of your way, and you still go back to them. And what do? They come back and they act like they care. No, they don't. They get paid to be by your side. May the days, it says, rise up, ye women that are at ease. Hear my voice, you careless daughters. Give ear unto my speech. Isaiah 32:9. In case you wanted to rehearse the daughters, and also to the sons, to keep them from lying and say the truth. Repent. You're in that covet with saying doesn't mean anything. It's in the disannul, because they're not the creator of the ends of the earth. Our Father is. And that's also in here. Many days in the year shall be as your trouble. The careless woman for the village, they shall fall. Gathering shall not come. Terrible, ye women, you that are at ease. Be troubled, you careless ones. Strip you and make you bare. Grit and sackcloth upon your lions, that they shall lament for the teats, for the pleasant fields, the fruitful vine upon the land of my people, that they shall come up thrones and barriers, and upon the houses of joy, the joyous city, because the palaces shall be forsaken. The multitude of the cities shall be left. The forts and towers shall be the dens forever. A joy of wild asses, a pasture of flocks. Unite the spirit that is poured upon us from the high and the wilderness of the fruitful field that be counted for the forest. The judgment that they shall dwell in the wilderness, the righteous that remain in the fruitful field. The work of righteous shall be peace. They affect righteousness. It says quietness, assurance forever. For my people should dwell in a peaceful habitation, sure dwellings in quiet resting places. That it shall be hill coming down into the forest, but the city of the low and the low places. Blessed are ye that sow besides all the waters, and send titter the feet to the ox and the asses. Now, woe to you that go down to Egypt for help, stay on horses and trust in the chariots, because there are many. It says, and in horsemen, because they are very strong, but they look unto you, the Holy One of Israel, neither seek the Lord. Yet he also is wise, and he will bring evil, and will not call upon back in his words, but they will rise against the house of the evildoers, against the help of them that work in iniquity. For the Egyptians are men, and they're not of God. Their horses and flesh are not of the Spirit. But the Lord will stretch out his hand, both in he that helpeth and falleth, that he had holpen, and they shall fall down, and they all shall fail together. But those that hath the Lord spoken unto me, and as the lion and the young lion roaring in his prey, the multitude of shepherds is called forth against him, and he will not be afraid of their voice, nor abase himself for the horse of them. And so shall the Lord of the hosts come down and fight for Mount Zion, and all the hill thereof, the birds, the flying, and the Lord of the hosts defend Jerusalem, defending also, deliver, passing through the preserved. Turn ye from whom your children of Israel have deeply revolted. In that day every man will be cast away, his idols of silver, his idols of gold, which your own hands have made unto you for sin. And they shall be the Assyrians that fall by the sword, and not the mighty man of the sword, but the mean man that shall devour him. And he shall flee of the sword, and the young man discomfited, and we will pass over the strongholds. For the fear of the prince shall be afraid. For the inside of the Lord, whose fire is Zion, and the furnace of the Jerusalem. You know, I'm going to close it up. I had to go a little bit backwards because it was kicking me off, you know, and I have a couple of Bible verses that I have out. So whenever I use it, so I kind of had to work with what I had in front of me. So I am going to post the ones that it was speaking as far as like for you to go ahead and meditate over it. But I ended up going from, I believe it was 32 all the way down. I'm sorry, it was 33 all the way back to 31. And this is a message that is very important. And hopefully you take your mind and study it and go back and read it about the wrath of God. His lamentation over and over again that he's saying, child, please. And he has pleaded with you. Stop with the witchcraft. Stop and standing with the mockers. Stop hanging out with evildoers because they want nothing much for you to fail. Stop hanging out. Stop sinning. Stop partying. Stop dancing. Stop going out there with something that wants so much to keep you down. And is it that bad that you're that desperate that you think you're not blessed, that you think that you're not also chosen, that you think that woman and that man of God that are sitting there doing what his will is, you don't think that he's going to do it for you? He is going to do it for you. The devil's a liar. But as you continue standing with the evildoers, the wrath is going to come upon you. So don't let him deceive you and making you think that nothing's going to happen to me. I'm God's children. No. There's a reason why the first and the second generation, why Abraham and Isaac, I always think Isaac didn't make it, was because they stood and they wanted to sin. They wanted to have other idols. So if he could spare that very first generation, don't think that you're not. And all along, from Genesis to Revelation, he's been pleading with you. And on the way, journey into the promised land, you continue getting detour and going and still bowing down to a man that he's a king, and it's you. It's you that hold the birthright. It's you and the sons and daughters, your children's children, is to come into your inheritance. It's just which side are you going to be on? Are you going to be on the side of the Red Sea and be in that end? Or are you going to cross over? Cross over, I crossed over, I made it. You know, he did it for me. He could do it for you. That means shunning evil, shunning anything in the world, no sin, no distractions. And trust me, they tried everything. Hey, you want to hang out? Hey, you want to go out and drink? Hey, you want to go meet somebody? Hey, you want to hang out with us and get high? No. You want to go watch the fireworks? No. But I thank you. Hey, you want to go hang out? We have a room over here? No. I was put there to pray over them, to pray over you, not to go and hang out. If you want to hang out, read the Bible, I'm right there. Hey. But if you wanted to do anything else, that wasn't for me. I wasn't put there, and it tells you in the Bible, I'm going to put you a sheep among wolves. You know, do not ask about their God. Do not hang out with them. Do not mingle with them. Do not go eat meat out there over and over. So with that being said, I think from 29 to 33, I'm going to look over the Bible verse 34 and 35. But just sorry that I had to go a little bit backwards, but I'm being honest with you, it was kicking me off, turning me back from page to page. So I had to get off of that app and had to get on another one, so I kind of had to go backwards. But I'm going to post them as I read it. Go 34, do the 1s to 8, and then 34, 35, because I read them all back down to 30. So just remember to close it up. It says, woe to the rebellious children, said the Lord. It says, and take counsel, and not of me, but they cover the covering of all the spirits that they may add sin to sin. to walk. You know, he's saying, seek me and not of the evildoers. But I might do a part 3.